Hi, Brent. Welcome to our Poundcast.
Hi, Douglas. Um, I'd like to welcome you as well,
It'd be cool.
because
It'd be cool if Brent was short for something.
Brentless,
Brentless. There we go.
Brentless.
Sorry to cut you off there.
Nah, you're not cutting me off. Listen, let me tell you something, Doug. This episode is brought to you in part by Louisville Vegan
Louisville
Jerky.
Vegan Foods, to be more specific.
To
Louisville
be more
Vegan
general,
Foods.
actually.
Yeah. Well, to be
To be
more,
more general, actually.
I guess you're right, Brent. You might have got me on that
To be
one.
less specific. To be less specific.
But
I
in a
don't
way,
know. I don't know.
in a way more specific, because what you want to do is
I
go to
agree. I agree.
louisvilleveganfoods.com and use the promo code Poundcast to get a 20 whole percent off your order. And what they're doing over at Louisville Vegan Foods is great stuff. It's a great American company based out of Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. And,
Kentucky. That's right, Kentucky.
you know, they're part of the solution when it comes to snacks. I'll just say
Yeah.
that. If you have
Um,
a snacking issue where you need something, you can reach for some crap, or you can reach for something positive,
some snack.
some crap
You
or
can
some
reach for some
snack.
crap.
I would
Or you
go
can
with
reach for some snack.
I would highly recommend the Louisville Vegan Jerky is one of their main products that you can find at louisvilleveganfoods.com using the code word Poundcast to get 20% off. Or you can also get this wonderful product that comes in many savory, delicious flavors. Some are sweet. Some are sweet and savory. They have the
Some are sweet
perfect,
and savory.
yeah.
Some are sweet.
And
To
yeah,
suit your very need.
you could get it at your grocery store if you're brave enough to go to the store and show up in person. I would recommend the smoky not the well, I would recommend any flavor. They're all good, but the Carolina barbecue I like. The buffalo dill is a special flavor. We got the sweet teriyaki.
Buffalo stance.
Those are,
I
you
mean,
can go to the store.
you
You
can
can go to
buff
the store and get it. Where do they got it now? Sprouts, Whole Foods.
sprouts. Whole Foods.
I think even Target has it now. You can't go wrong.
So anyway,
You can
well, you
support
can
the
order online if you want. Look, this stuff is handbagged in the United States of America.
I mean, yeah, you can't lose. You're going to help out the Poundcast. You're going to help out a great company, Louisville Vegan Foods. And
If you order it online, you can use the code word Poundcast, and you get guess how much off? 20%.
10%, 20% off. Oh my
Does that
God.
make sense? I went like this.
Guess how much you're going to get off? Wait, let's do it. I'll do the two. You do the.
This is for video only, by the way. Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
okay. Okay. We're doing visual jokes here. You can look
Who's
at
on the
yeah, so support our wonderful sponsor. Check out it. Just try a bag and see what you think. That's all we
And you
ask.
know what? When you
Why
get that
not? Why not get a bag?
eat the buffalo dill while you do the buffalo stance. Just make it a buffalo night.
Is this a buffalo stance like this?
Yeah, that's right.
Or is that like a b-boy stance?
Well, it's a buffalo stance.
I got to look up what is a buffalo stance.
It's a modeling term. I think when modeling, they do that. What you were doing, they put your arms, cross your arms basically, and you kind of have to look sassy a little bit. That's a buffalo stance.
Oh yeah, cuz she's standing like that in the image. Um
Nina Cherry. So anyway,
yeah.
look, look. Other things to mention is that uh, uh, okay. So Louisville Vegan Foods. That is one of the things that keeps this podcast going. Another thing that keeps the podcast going is the Patreon. Patreon.com/Poundcast.
Poundcast, of course.
They have the guys
Okay.
have bonus content on.
Look, the guys have some great introductory prices. You can come in at $2 a month. That's a cheap old Patreon subscription. And for that, you get bonus content.
You
Every
basically get
episode has a after dark version in which we keep talking. Sometimes it's just me and Brent. Sometimes it's me and Brent and the guests.
And
You
it
get
gets
at least another half hour.
and
Sometimes
we
it goes
get
for
into
another
some cool we get
more.
into some really cool stuff too, and a lot of funny games happen on
A
that.
lot of fun and games happen there.
And by the way, it's almost like a bonus episode. It's not even like an extended episode. I mean, it's an extended episode technically, but they are long enough to be their own episodes.
Right. We just keep having fun. Deep into the
So check
darkness.
that out. And then there's other things you can get there too, like you can get the After Dark videos, and then I don't know, other little bonus things here and there. You never know what happens. Sometimes, yeah, whatever. You never know. Okay, and I'll just mention this also is that on September 19th, 7 p.m., I'm doing this video game comedy show where I'm going to play Nintendo live, and it's going to be in like a Zoom meeting situation. Well, not like one, but it is going to be a Zoom meeting, but people can interact in the comments. I know this sounds like a lot like Twitch, but it's going to have multiple people doing commentary, and um, and it's going to have multiple people doing commentary, and it'll be fun. So check it out. And if you go to my Instagram account, Brent Weinbach Comedy, more information on that. It's in the bio. Okay. And
Brent, repeat that last little thing because you broke up for a sec.
if you go to my Instagram account, Brent Weinbach Comedy, there's a link in the bio for more information about that and stuff like that. So check that out.
Link in the bio. There we go. All right. So anything else with that? What else?
One last quick little thing. I seldom do this other podcast called Pointed Questions. And there's a new episode out on that too if you want to check that out. It's on SoundCloud or wherever you do podcasts. We had a lottery winner on the most recent episode if you want to check that out. All right, that's it.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Cool. As for me, I do have my own Patreon, which has its own perks, patreon.com/DougPound. And that starts off at $2 a month. If you want to throw me a little, I guess that's almost like giving me a tip for all the wonderful smiles and content I bring you month after month. Okay. And I have some merch at dougpound.bigcartel.com. Anyway, check that out. So let's get into the show with the Feels Good Men. These guys are part of the new wonderful documentary called Feels Good Man, and we're going to get into that in a sec. But first, let's play a remix of the theme song.
Yeah.
That one of our Patreon subscribers did. And this one is coming to us from Sam.
Sam, yeah.
I don't know if Sam wants his full name, but thank you,
Yeah,
Sam.
okay, we'll just say Sam.
Yeah, Sam. Thank you for making this. And let's play a little bit of this track, and then we'll bring the Feels Good Men in.
The Feels Good Men.
The movie's called Feels Good Man, but I want to call them the Feels Good Men.
The Feels Good Men.
All right, here we go.
Pound, cast, pound, cast, pound, cast, pound to the cast, pound, cast, pound, cast.
Hey guys.
What's up, Matt?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, just to let you know, Arthur's going to be 5 minutes late, he says.
Oh, okay.
No worries.
So we'll just wait then, I suppose, yeah?
I guess so. Yeah, we can wait for him.
All right. Well, I don't
Sure
want
you want to wait? You don't want to just
unleash
like
the juice. I don't want to what do you call it?
unleash the juice?
I don't want to unrelease.
You don't want to like let the juice
I don't want to
loose?
unloose. I don't want to unloose the juice just yet. I want to save the juice. I don't want the juice to be loose just yet.
Well, why don't we just talk for a minute?
Okay.
Just say hi. What's the big deal with that?
Okay.
Matt, I like your
Wait.
I like the wood paneling behind you.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, we got a fish tank back here, too, for a little
Oh, you got a
ambiance.
fish tank.
Little added ambiance there, yeah.
What kind of fish do you have in there?
I don't know. My partner does the kind of fish tending. We had like some little shrimps, looks like some like little bottom feeders, some top feeders. I don't know.
That's
Guppy
cool.
leg.
You got shrimp. Shrimp?
Yeah, a little shrimp in here. Yeah, Doug. Last time I saw you was last time I did a big party or anything. That was it. That was it for me. That was my last hurrah.
Wait, hold on a second. You have shrimp in there?
Yeah, little shrimps.
I don't suppose it's possible for you, and this is really for the video people. Whatever. It's gonna be too much trouble. Is it easy for you to move your camera and to look at that? Don't worry about it.
I mean, I just got a laptop. Yeah.
I just want to see what these shrimp look like.
I'm wondering if I could just do a full-on screensaver thing.
This is really some video. Look, I'll just describe it. There's a tank with a lot of plants in here and little things swimming around, but I'm not spying any shrimp just yet. I think they're hiding. No.
Yeah, they're translucent, so they're kind of hard to see even when they're right out in the open too. So they're cool.
Right,
They swim around with like they got a bunch of legs and they swim around.
These shrimp are playing hard to get right now. Well.
Yeah, so Matt, the first and last time I saw you, I don't know, have we ever met before that party?
We have actually, yeah. I'm buddies with with Sam from Friends with You and Jen Stark and those guys. So I've tagged along a few times on those. A few years ago, doing the body surfing thing over like Manhattan Beach or.
Yes, you know what? I remember that now, and I just saw them yesterday. We do that. That's our Sunday thing we do.
Yeah. So I used to do that, and I
totally remember. I totally remember now.
You know Bert.
Yeah.
We had him on the show once.
Yeah.
I bumped heads with Bert. We were body surfing, and I split my head open and had to go. Those guys had to like drive me to the hospital.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
He's got a pretty gnarly scar. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but see on my forehead there is.
Oh, that's wow.
Jeez.
That's from that. Wow.
That was from Bert's head. Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh, it's funny. I noticed that scar in the documentary, and I kind of thought to myself, "Oh, I guess that must be." I never noticed that. That must have just always been there, and I never noticed it, or something like that. Because I thought that it was probably some childhood injury or something.
Yeah, dropped on the head as a child. Well, that would explain it.
No, or just I don't know.
Okay,
Hi,
welcome. Arthur's here. Welcome to the Poundcast, Matt and Arthur, and congrats on the documentary.
Matt, Doug, what do you call these guys?
Oh, you guys are the Feels Good Men.
Oh.
No, the documentary is called Feels Good Man, so you guys are the Feels Good Men.
Well, we're sorry we can't be at the Pound House popping our pound pimples in the mirror or whatever you guys do. Yeah.
Arthur, do we have the same frames?
We do have the same frames, Doug.
Did we go over that when I saw you?
Oh my God. I don't think so. But it appears that we have the same frames. Yeah.
We have good taste in frames, I'll tell you that. And Matt and I have good taste in Berts. We both have the same Bert. We have the same Bert as a friend.
Yeah, we share a Bert.
Yeah.
I've never met a bad Bert. Berts are always good dudes.
Can anyone share anything with me or what?
Hey, Brent.
I see that Arthur has a little tiny little tube TV. I bet you have one of those probably, Brent.
I've got 3.
Well, there we go. Look, I'm making connections right here.
Boom. Is that really... What is that? That's not is that a TV back there?
It is a TV. Yeah, it's
okay.
actually we were trying to film. When we were making Feels Good Man, we thought initially we were going to be having all of these. We wanted all the media to either be in like laptops or TVs or something like that. So we actually bought like a whole bunch of like random shit, and then we started shooting it, and then we realized that wasn't going to work. So why?
Because of the refresh.
No, it actually kind of seems like a trope. I was watching like all these other movies about the internet, and there's always like this weird like slow tracking shot of like some laptop with ominous music, and I was like, fuck that. And then some of it was like a little bit like you were talking about like the static or whatever, the
refresh lines or whatever.
Exactly.
The refresh.
And then we just realized in the movie I wanted to make it seem like you were inside the internet. Like seeing the edges of the frame kind of would take you out of it. So we kind of like, oh, let's make it feel like you're inside the box a little bit. So
okay, first of all, I want to just say off top that we don't need to get into the content of the movie at all, because I think everyone should just watch it. I loved it. It actually made me feel good for real. Like it's got like
It's
it's like heartwarming kind of.
yeah.
I
I mean,
like
I would like to just say though
But
that
I do want to talk, but I do want to talk about like how you made it, kind of like that kind of stuff, TV stuff.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm
but
happy.
I do want to, yeah, also just say for people that this documentary is, I mean, it's cool because it is about Matt's story and his stuff, but it's also about a lot more than Matt. Also, it's about a lot of interesting internet culture stuff that I don't know, it's just really interesting. It touches on a lot of things that go beyond Pepe the Frog, and I don't know, it's just really some really dark internet subculture stuff that I think is interesting. I think
I'm happy. I'm happy to talk about whatever. I mean, I think from my artistic perspective, that was one of the things that made this story really exciting to me, was because I think in some ways the story of Matt is a story that's happened to all of us over the last 5 or 6 years in the way that social media has kind of torn the country apart. So I did sort of think as we were making the film that Matt's someone in a very unique position, and I think he's like a very relatable guy, and the situation that he's going through is something that people can kind of apply to their own lives, and so I think it's a story about obviously the frog and Matt, but then it's also this larger cultural story of like how we've all gotten to this like strange place that we're in right now.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should talk about whatever we want to talk about and not put limits on it. But
But
I know you guys have done some other podcasts, and I just feel like I don't want to like do a rerun for you guys.
We're not going to rehash that stuff, but it's just cool that it is multi-layered. The documentary is multi-layered, and there's multiple stories on a there's personal stories, and there's these macro kind of stories as well in it as well. So I just thought that was cool.
Our editor Aaron would refer to the movie as like a Fabergé egg, and that's the way we kind of really thought about it. Where like every beat in the story has like maybe it'll have like there's just a lot going on between the seated interviews, the motion graphics, the cartoons, Matt's story. We really wanted it to feel like a movie where if you watched it, you would be making your own connections, your own associations with all the different media that's kind of like whizzing past you at any time.
And just to give, for anybody who is not familiar, Feels Good Man is a documentary that is, I guess at its core it's about the character Pepe the Frog, which was created by Matt Furie, who's a very talented artist. And that's okay. So just to, I don't think we mentioned that, but yeah. And Arthur was the director of the film, Arthur Jones. So
yeah,
okay.
And I was attracted to making it because I was a fan of Matt's artwork, and I think I'm a fan of indie comics, and I think the passion for that stuff is really kind of what initially attracted me to the subject matter.
There's animated sequences in the movie as well, and those are really cool. It was cool to see these characters being animated, and is that I don't know. Is that the first time that those were animated? Those characters, these boys' club characters, animated, or it's a question for
yeah,
Matt,
I think so. Pretty much. I appreciate that Arthur like extended the story into the rest of the boys from the comic, so it really gave them a little bit of a spotlight too, like because the boys club actually features 4 characters, and then Pepe kind of just took a life of his own like online, as you guys probably know. So it was nice to definitely the first time Landwolf, Brett, and Andy, which are the other 3 dudes, were animated, and I really enjoyed the animation and just the attention to detail, and I'm really picky when it comes to animation. I was really putting the pressure on Arthur to do a good job, and he hit it out of the park. So I'm really appreciative of the animation part, and there's just some really nice subtle moments of the frog just taking a deep breath and being kind of contemplative, or the characters being kind of pissed off, or like falling, and there's pizza flying everywhere and stuff. So I really enjoyed the animation.
And how did you do the animation?
My background is animation.
So real quick, you did the animation.
Well, so I did all the motion graphics. So all the stuff that you see, like that's in the computer, like the message boards and everything, I did all of that. And then I did about 1/4 of the cartoons. And I initially kind of thought that my background in motion graphics and animation was going to maybe be the thing that I could bring to this film that would maybe set it apart from other movies. And I really had like, Matt and I would talk about how we wanted the animations to look. And I really kind of enjoyed basically just, we had scans of all of his comics. And there's some sections in the film where I was basically just like tracing his comics and redrawing them. And that was like just such a kind of pleasant experience for me, just to really kind of like get into the heads of these characters. But as we were finishing the film, we basically were like at this total like sprint to get it done. So in the beginning, I thought I could do all the animation, and then I just realized I couldn't. And so we hired these 3 amazing animators. And when I say hired, I mean that very loosely because they worked for very little money. But Jenna Caravello and Nicole Stafford and Kylan Woodrow were our animation crew. And they really just like, they were so fully committed to making this look great. And we kind of just broke all the animations off into pieces and, really collaborated on them. So, like that part that Matt's talking about with like Pepe taking a deep breath, that was like an idea that like we kind of came up with as a group, and then we handed that off to Nicole. And it's this kind of like final beat in the film, and Pepe's sort of beautifully animated, having this like moment of like basically, going back to nature. And so that was something that Nicole did, and she's just like, she's a master animator. She's so good.
Arthur, I'm curious, like,
So we can get them for cheap.
I think they're done. They all have now been just like working like crazy to basically make up for the last year where they were making no money.
Dang. How about you though? No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Doug. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you down.
before this film, what was your background, just so people know? Like, have you done documentaries before this, and what did you do before this film?
I didn't know how to set up a tripod when I started making this documentary. I'd had a very scattershot resume. I did like fine art in my 20s. And then I went to art school, but I was like a figurative painting major in art school. did like oil paintings of naked people laying in the sunlight and stuff like that.
Ooh.
And then
Speaking my language.
Yeah. There we go. And so I'd done like web design, I'd done graphic design. I've always been like someone who also dabbled a little bit in illustration. But I'd started making motion graphics for friends of mine. Friends of mine were making these documentary films when I moved to Los Angeles. And so I made the motion graphics for 3 different docs made by 3 different friends of mine. I made some motion graphics for my friend Mike's movie called Seed Money. And then that was the first thing I'd worked on. And I was like, I really enjoyed that process. It was definitely like kind of a homemade movie, a small crew. So I felt like a very hands-on attachment to it. And then my friend Amy Scott, who's an ex-Chicagoan, Doug, maybe you know her, her maiden name is Amy Cargill, made a movie about Hal Ashby. And I did all the like motion graphics and like archival photo retouching and stuff for that. And that went to Sundance a couple of years ago. And that kind of gave me the idea that like, oh, maybe I could do this. Interesting. And then Giorgio Angelini, who really co-made Feels Good Man with me, made a film called Owned, A Tale of Two Americas, which is about like the post-war housing in America and redlining and the history of racial discrimination and zoning and all this sort of stuff. And I was doing animations for his film, and that just kind of rolled over into Feels Good Man. And then, but it was like, I was learning how to be a director while we were making this film, and Matt was learning how to be the subject.
Did you guys know each other before making this, or did you reach out to him as a stranger?
Well, we met on a hike in LA, actually. He was part of a group called the Seeing Trails Hike Gang.
Oh yeah, which mountain?
Sespe Hot Springs. We were going to Sespe Hot Springs.
Okay.
Outside of Ojai.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So we met on that, and we were hiking along. It was a beautiful day. There's a big group of us, and we just got to talking. I knew Carrie, his partner, from San Francisco back in the day, and she actually shot a little movie of me for Accelerator magazine back in the aughts, kind of covering Boys Club and my artwork back then. So just through a strange twist of fate, we met, and
So Matt, what
It's
did you
kind of
think?
rad because Carrie's some of the archival in the film is stuff that Carrie shot, and that was
Oh, that's
before I
cool.
knew Matt and before I was dating Carrie. And so like
Oh,
there's
wow,
shots
that's
of like
interesting.
Matt sifting through toys and stuff in his room, like stuff that he collected from the thrift store. And that was stuff that was shot by Carrie. So it's kind of like so many different moments in this movie just kind of folded in on themselves, and it all kind of worked out in this kind of, I don't know. I'm still kind of in awe that we were able to make
It
it the way
brought
we did.
everybody together, brings people together.
Truly.
The
Matt, what
production
did
brought
you
people
think?
together.
What did you think when he said he wants to do this documentary? Because you seem kind of like a chill, kind of not like front of
You
the
don't want
camera
that attention.
kind of person. Were you like down? Were you like, how did you feel?
Well, yeah, it was, I think it was a bit of a painful process for me. I gave it a sporting chance, and I really wanted Arthur to figure it out because I didn't want to figure it out. So I kind of reluctantly was telling him about stuff that, we figured it out. And I think, Arthur's mentioned this before. A lot of it is just, it happens in the editing process. So you can't really predict with the documentary what you're going to end up using and stuff. So thankfully we got some good stuff, but, yeah, I definitely prefer to be on the other side of
Was your initial reaction though to say no? Did you originally not want to do it, or did you say, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Let's see what happens.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing about being a creative person or something. Like half of you wants to be left alone, and then the other half wants exposure. So I'm like right in the middle of that, and just like everybody
Okay.
probably.
So a
So
little
I,
bit
th-
of
I
both.
I think I was down. I was down for it, right, Arthur?
So I am curious though. So the first, we did a really long interview with Matt, with our friends Kurt and Christian, and that was like one of the first things. I guess we shot a Johnny Ryan interview first, but I do wonder, after that interview, Matt, did you think like, oh, Arthur's going to make this movie, or do you think like, oh, well, now that's over, he's never going to finish that?
No,
What was
I
your honest thoughts after that?
No, I had faith the thing would get done. It was just such a weird time for me, and I was kind of depressed through some of that stuff. And it's like stuff I don't really feel comfortable talking about, like this internet phenomena and the alt-right and all this shit. So, I knew that you would do it, and I just wanted to have like a little token of this time to, just to encapsulate this weird moment. So I'm glad that we have it, and you not only got it done, but you made a killer movie out of it that seems to be making some waves out there. So I'm proud to be a part of it.
Well, I mean, a documentary is really only as good as the access you're given. So both Matt and Ayana, I think, are really private people naturally. And so I'm still kind of amazed that they basically allowed us to come in and intrude in their lives at various points when it was kind of uncomfortable for that to happen. So they were really amazing sports during this. And like Matt was saying, he really gave us the freedom to make the movie we wanted to. It's kind of, it was really a huge leap of faith on their part. And I will work my ass off kind of assembling a really talented group of people that were really dedicated to the story, who I feel like could have done it right. And I feel like we kind of threaded the needle on it, considering it was like such a scrappy thing.
Yeah, so it was like you said, it was kind of a DIY film.
Yeah.
It looks really slick, and it doesn't look like a DIY film. But how did you start? What was like your first thing when you're like, I got to make a documentary? Like, where do you begin?
Well, the first thing I did was I talked to Matt and Ayana, and we just hung out around their kitchen table, and I really explained to them kind of how I envisioned the process going. And I said, like, this is about how long I think it's going to take. This is kind of what I think could be all the different scenarios for getting it made. And then I'd also written this kind of like wild document. I was trying to research this film, both this Matt's world, but then also like obviously all the stuff online. And I was trying to make that research project as fun as possible for myself. So I wrote this basically kind of like a weird outline for it, like almost like a short story or something like that. And it was a really long document. It was like 40 pages long. And then I think I gave them like 29 pages of that. And I think they read it and saw that like maybe I had like some ambition or something. I don't know. What did you think when Ayana read that, Matt? Or did you read it?
Oh, what was that called?
Oh man, it's so fucking pretentious. It was it was called The Transcendental Pepe at the End of Time. It was based on a Terrence McKenna quote. And I'd written like it was just like a big sprawling document about like, oh man, we could do this, we could do this, we could interview this person and that person. And then as soon as we started interviewing Matt, our first interviews were Matt and his partner Ayana and their housemate Chris and Johnny Ryan, who's this amazing cartoonist, and Lisa Hannawalt and Emily Heller were our kind of first set of interviews. And they were like Matt's comics crew. And all the writing I'd done, I just threw out the window because, you know, unlike painting or something, documentary film is like sculpting. You really have to kind of gather all the material, then chip away the stuff that's good or useful. And you can't really like impose your will on it. And so, you know, we transcribed all of those interviews and went through making like very particular edits, the same way you would edit like a term paper. And that's how it started.
Now, I have a couple of questions, but when you were sitting at that kitchen table, were you like, hey, Matt, here's how long it's going to take. Here's the DJ we got lined up for the premiere party. How detailed? No, I'm just kidding.
He was very excited. We got you for the premiere party. Thank you for doing
here's
that.
the production points. Here's the payout points or whatever. I don't know.
We did talk about that stuff. I mean,
Wow.
I mean, I tried to just be as like open as possible about that stuff. And I think we got it done. I told them it could take anywhere between 2 and 4 years, and it took 2.5 years. So I feel
2.5 years you've been making it. Wow.
Yeah.
So were there developments in the story while you were shooting it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, what I mean is like, it's not completely a sort of retelling of things that happened. There were things that were happening while you were making it.
For sure. I mean, Matt was working with 2 pro bono lawyers, and that was happening in real time. I don't think the movie would have been a feature if there wasn't things that were happening in real time.
Interesting.
I think in order for there to be a third act, you have to have something to really like document to make it feel alive. So yeah, the third act is all stuff that we couldn't have planned on when we began shooting it, you know, and we were also finding people to talk to along the way. Each one of the talking heads that we talked to was like its own negotiation.
I'm actually really curious about some of the people that you interviewed.
Sure.
And I was wondering how you even got them and found them. For example, there's a 4chan guy that's in the documentary, and
Oh yeah.
I kind of thought, I mean, I almost think you could do a spin-off documentary on him in a way, because it was just, you know, that culture, that 4chan culture is really interesting to me. But how did you get these people? How did you get that guy, for example?
We could do a spin-off documentary. There's a lot of footage. So I found him, you know, his name is Mills. I found him because I'd never been on 4chan before. I mean,
did you infiltrate? Did you go in as a 4chaner and you were just like, you know, trying to use memes and stuff?
Infiltrate makes it sound like a lot more, I don't know, grandiose than it was. No, I spent a lot of time on 4chan before I started the film. I spent a few months because there's like a whole lingo to 4chan that you have to, they have their own like glossary of terms. There's like a syntax to the platform where it's like, you know, there's a different way that people talk to each other on there, just in the way they like format the back and forth. You know, there's like green texting, which is this sort of like you're stating something and then you're riffing on it. There's like, it's basically joke writing. So, you know, I didn't post too much on there. I mostly lurked, but I felt like I really had to like soak up as much of it as possible. So Mills was someone who I saw his face. He's a meme on 4chan. Most people on 4chan want to be anonymous, and it's very rare that someone will post their face or their identity on 4chan, but he was someone whose face was on 4chan. And I found like a set of YouTube videos that didn't have very many clicks. He had this video that's in the film where he's laying in bed and he holds the phone up as he's going to bed, and the first thing he says is like, what does Pepe mean to me? And then he talks about that. And that was a video where I was looking at the YouTube grid of all the videos there, and I randomly clicked on this video. It was only named like the date. And I clicked on that, and I felt like he's laying there, he's making eye contact with the viewer, making eye contact with me, and he's like, what does Pepe mean to me? And I felt like he was talking to me. I was like, oh, I had goosebumps. I was like, he's going to be in the film. And he has like an encyclopedic knowledge of all the different drama that's happened in 4chan all these years. And I reached out to him, and we had some very, very, very long Skype conversations. And Mills is a complicated guy. He's someone who is like actually like quite sweet and funny in one way, but the persona that he likes to play up on the internet is one that's like this super edgy, angry, like self-righteous dude who has a lot of swagger. And in reality, he is like kind of a sweet kid who's kind of given up in some ways. And I think he would admit to that too. So I wanted to tell the story of 4chan through the people who were on it, not through journalists who had just researched it. I thought that was going to be a good thing for the film.
He was pretty open to it, though, even as a kind of 4chan, the people on there are kind of these outcast kind of people, I guess. But he was down to sort of be a part of this documentary and talk and be on camera and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, he was. He was.
It's easy to like look at these 4chan guys and think that they're a bunch of losers and jerks.
And girls too, by the way.
Yeah, but like they kind of seem to me like they're just people in pain that are like have nowhere else to like turn to or something,
It's outcasts of all varieties. It's just and it's mostly teenagers. It's teenagers who are finding themselves. And so, there's like music boards on 4chan, like the music board, people are posting about Amandul records and stuff like that. And they're all like these like music memes. Like there's definitely a place for, if you are, people that are on the poll board are particularly interested in politics, and a lot of that stuff obviously gets pretty fascistic or pretty like white power. But, there's also Bernie Bros on there too. It's just an edgy discourse. It's kids that are outcast and they're looking to be as like kind of confrontational and edgy as possible. And, each board kind of has its own different flavor. And it is also true, like, for instance, like the fit board is all gay kids. The gay board is all trans kids. Like there's a whole just world to people who are kind of like hiding for a reason. Like maybe they have some social anxiety, and the message board is the place where they can like congregate and just like have fun.
I have a question for Matt.
Yeah, I have a question for Matt too.
Okay. This is something that maybe you both know the answer to this. Or maybe you don't know the answer to this at all, but how did the Pepe the Frog originally, it seemed like it first started getting momentum in sort of a bodybuilding community or something. Do you know how that happened, or you just don't know? It just like was there like some, like, was there some buff guy who was just a fan of the Boys Club comics, and then the buff guy just started using it, and then that's how it seeped in? Or what? Do you know the answer to that, Matt? Because that would happen, that was in the 2000s, right?
Yeah, I think we touched on that in the film, and I think the way I discovered it was, I maybe had a friend that was into physical fitness and saw that.
You had a buff friend.
I had a buff friend, and they like emailed me a feels good man, like one of just the real early ones where you're just smiling saying feels good man. It was like a reaction image that they would post after they would get ripped, and then then post it feels good man, or do like a before and after shot or something of their abs or whatever.
But you don't know how it you don't know how it got there in the first place, right? Like it just must have been some random buff guy or something or whatever. It's like some guy who was into bodybuilding who was a fan, I guess, and is that right? Or you don't know, right? Or what?
I mean, the working theory that I think we have is that I posted it onto MySpace back when MySpace had a little blog section. So I was just new to MySpace, and I would scan my Boys Club drawings and put them on the blog section of MySpace and just kind of share them that way. And I think someone must have ripped it from that.
Right. I'm just wondering why it took off.
Well, it is interesting though. There's always been a real like cross pollination between 4chan and bodybuilding.com, the message boards. Like those bodybuilding sites were early message boards because it's just guys trading information about how, like, what diet to, how many reps to do of what, like what diet they should have and stuff. And there's a fit board on 4chan, and those things have always been like very fluid. And so who knows who the first person that posted Pepe as a reaction image was, but those communities, it's because 4chan is obsessed with hierarchical and systematized thinking. So the same guys that are like, oh, how do I talk to girls? Here are the steps in like flirting with a girl. You neg them, you do this, are the same guys that are like, oh, how do I get like ripped?
How do I get big?
Yeah.
How do I get hard? How does my body get hard?
Sure.
So when I was a teen, there wasn't really internet, and I was also an angsty, kind of an outcast, I guess.
You were also into getting big.
Do you guys think that you can relate to like the teens that are on 4chan at all, Matt? Or
yeah, yeah, I think so. You know, back in the early days of the internet, I remember kind of being excited about chat rooms, and just I would enjoy just going in the chat rooms and just trolling people. You know, I would just say goofy
online.
Yeah, I would say goofy ass stuff just to get a reaction out of people. And there was some kind of freedom about being anonymous on there and just kind of going on and saying some crazy stuff and then seeing what happened and then getting booted off. And I don't know, it's just kind of, you know, I think it, you know, feeds into this kind of prankster
What kind of
vibe.
stuff did you do? What kind of stuff did you say?
I don't even remember it so long
Did you use
ago.
bad words?
I don't think so. I think I would be more kind of, I did this thing early on where back when you could kind of translate stuff, I would get a kick out of like writing something kind of absurd and then translating it to Japanese and then retranslating that back into English. And so that it would give this kind of a few steps away from what I was actually saying, and this kind of funny kind of almost as if I was using English as a second language. So I would just do that just for fun.
I love that. That's a great
that's
idea.
cool. That's like, you can make weird ass like poetry with that probably.
Yeah, it's kind of like a stream of consciousness kind of technique, you know, where like, you know, William S. Burroughs used to just write out a narrative and then cut it up and then re-glue it back together just to give it that kind of fragmented kind of poetic vibe. But I was trying to do that through translating and stuff. So, you know, just kind of being surrealist or something.
Yeah.
How were you translating it to Japanese? Do you know?
I don't remember.
You had a Japanese
I think there was just
There's websites that do that.
There was a website that would generate it for you.
Yeah, there was a website that I remember surfing in the 90s, like a early website that was called English. And
I remember that.
Like, it would be like poorly translated, poorly translated English that you'd see in Japan mostly.
Oh, that's kind of a cool way to maybe write dialogue for a foreign character in a show or something. Is to translate it to translate. It's
kind of like your sets,
foreign language.
Yeah,
translate it back and see how messed up, and use something that's not human to translate it. You know, that could be cool.
Brent, you know Matt from the Bay Area, right? Don't you guys know each other from back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Hell yeah. Yeah, we used to live together.
Did you guys sleep together? You're saying it with a,
We used to get hard, man.
There we go. I want the dirt.
Back then in the 2000s, you know?
Let's make a sequel, guys. The two of you.
No, I was friends with Ayana, and, you know, Matt started coming, and Ayana worked at a comedy club that I used to perform at a lot, and Matt started hanging out, and I mean, you know, I had, you know, he gave me the Boys Club comic. I still have it. I still have the one you gave me in whenever 2007 maybe or something.
Oh, nice.
Like that.
Yeah.
Is that when you gave it to me?
Yeah, that would have been around the time. Yeah, I started kind of dating Ayana back in 2006, so it was around.
Okay, 2006. Okay, so maybe 2006 you gave it to me actually, or I don't know, whenever you made that first one, I think, you know.
Yeah.
But
Matt, how did you so at that time you were working at the thrift store that is shown in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. And now you're a full-time professional cartoonist, and you have a book coming out. We'll talk about that too. But how did you did you start off just like you were just into doing comics and drawing, and you just did that anyway because that's just what you liked? And how did you transition to being like a pro?
Yeah, well, I'm from Ohio originally, from Columbus, Ohio, and I graduated in 2001 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and then me and my buddy Joe Neff I had a Buick LeSabre. We loaded up the LeSabre with all our CDs and whatever else we wanted to bring, our CDs and our hot dogs, and then we just drove across the country and ended up in San Francisco because we had some friends that had graduated like a year earlier, and we crashed with them. I just had this idea that I just had an ambition to become an artist. And I thought that if I was living in San Francisco, that would be the solution. So I would just work kind of day jobs, like at the thrift store. I worked there for a long time, and then just spend my nights just kind of obsessively drawing and doing art shows and stuff like that. And I just kind of, I remember like going to the bars and specifically just drinking Red Bull so I didn't get drunk, so I can go home and then I'd be all jacked up on Red Bull and I could work on my drawings, but so I could still kind of be social after work and then burn through some drawings at night.
Were you inspired by the people you saw at the bars to create the characters you were creating? I mean, like, did you use them as models, in a way or something, like in your mind, like?
Yeah, definitely. San Francisco had a big influence on me just because of, just all the different kinds of people there and stuff. And, I love just all the kind of hippie characters in like the Golden Gate Park area, or, just walking around the Mission, or basically anywhere in San Francisco it was just fun to roll out of bed and be on the street and just be surrounded by all kinds of different, metropolitan flavors,
Was your like in arts, when you were studying art in college, were you was your style like it is now? Were you drawing creatures and things? I mean, that's kind of what, if people aren't familiar, Matt's stuff is sort of like, they're like creatures, it's a lot of like kind of creature-y kind of stuff, like stuff that's sort of kind of somewhat reminiscent of creatures from 80s movies. Well, some of it inspired by it, but like they're kind of like humanoid creatures, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
was that what you were doing in college, or did that evolve in San Francisco, or what?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Like, in college, I did more fundamental stuff, like, took oil painting classes and sculpture and figure drawing and all that stuff. So I was really just trying to get all my fundamentals down. Like, took as many figure drawing classes as I could, so that I would just have that kind of information at my ready when I wanted to draw like some weird hamburger headed guy with a boner or something. I would have that knowledge of how the shoulder connected to the arm and all that stuff.
How the shoulder connected to the boner and everything.
Yeah. So, but I think, definitely the thrift store was an influence on me too. Just, I would just wake up and I would have a mountain of toys every morning to sort through, and I'd have all these boxes and, put all the Barbies here, all the Legos here, and, and I was definitely drawn to stuff from my childhood, like, E.T. or Gumby or
Gizmo,
the Muppets, Gizmo, yeah, all that stuff.
Falcor.
You said that there's in the movie there's a few things that are like really hard to draw, like pulling up pants, I think was one, or what?
Yeah.
What are the hardest things to draw? Is it?
I think
that a little bit.
One of the hardest things to draw is kind of like what do you call it when something is receding into space? What is that?
Depth perception.
Yeah, creating a sense of depth. So like if you were to draw like a hand coming at you.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the harder things. Or a man kind of reclining so that his feet are bigger than his head.
Right.
That
Perspective,
kind of sense,
like fisheye, like kind of like.
I don't. It's like fisheye, but it's like it's like.
I know what you're saying. Just something really. If you're looking at the video, it's like a big hand, and
you gotta look at Quentin Tarantino or Guy Ritchie movies or something. There's always that like a gun pointing at the
exactly
screen, all close and stuff or whatever.
Yeah. It's all kind of hard. It's hard drawing interior spaces. It's hard drawing like atmospheric perspective where like the background is kind of blurry and then the foreground is a little more in focus. There's all kinds of stuff to.
What are you drawing these days?
These days.
I'm just drawing kind of the same old stuff. I just like drawing a big crowd of character heads, just all kind of crammed together. And as you saw in the movie, I'm also kind of drawing all these kind of spirals. So
yeah,
I'm getting into like kind of like mandalas and just kind of drawing is more of a meditative thing where I can just sit there and just kind of jam out on some music and not have to think about anything and just draw some weird spirals and stuff.
is the music influencing how you draw?
I think so. Like I listen to a lot of Aphex Twin, so I like kind of electronic music where it has this kind of video gamey kind of repetitive thing to it, and I think that kind of informs my kind of mandalas and my colors and stuff. So I don't listen to a lot of music with lyrics, so it's mostly just kind of like minimal techno stuff, and it kind of gets me into this kind of raver mode in my head where I can just churn out brightly colored creatures kind of dancing around.
Also, you know how you said you were in characters in San Francisco that you might see at, say, the thrift store or just around town and stuff, that would kind of work its way into what you were drawing. Just out of curiosity, and I've never asked you this before, but I'm surprised I haven't, but did comedians you would see at the club and stuff, did that kind of work its way in at all? Like, did any comedians, and if so, did any comedians inspire characters? And if so, who were they?
Definitely it was you, Brent. We get
No,
it.
I don't take me out of the equation. I'm just curious about if there was, people that you saw around that maybe, I don't know.
There are a lot of
actually,
I'm talking about like physically too, but
Yeah.
like their physicality. Did their physicality kind of inspire some of these creatures?
yeah, definitely the
Are
sense
there
of
any
humor,
comedians
you
in
know?
San Francisco that look like creatures to you?
Well, I remember Alex Cole.
Yeah.
When I met him, he had just won like an air guitar contest.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was very impressive. And he had this whole kind of get up where he had like, the bandana and the sunglasses, and he was
Really big beard. Big
Yeah.
head.
So I did a cover for him called Wizard.
Well, yeah,
Hello.
no, I know you did his album, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I did one for Al Madrigal too. He did one called Half Breed, and he liked this little bunny guy that I did with like a hamburger.
What I'm talking about,
But
though.
I know that doesn't answer your question.
Yeah. I'm asking something else.
I don't know. I mean, I think just the vibe of comedy in general. I'm kind of a lighthearted guy, and I really enjoy comedy. So it definitely kind of maybe in a roundabout way definitely informs my kind of comedic sensibilities. Especially in boys club and stuff like that. But I it's all timing. And
But you didn't see somebody's face and you thought, I'm gonna make that into a monster.
well, some of my characters kind of have they have like a full head of hair, like their face is all hair, and then they just have like some sunglasses kind of stuck in the hair, and that was kind of like the hipster vibe in San Francisco at the time, where you have these like kind of like long-haired, bearded guys with sunglasses and a hat on and stuff, and I was also drawing a lot of like kind of critters in like jumpsuits, or like I was into kind of like the break dancing style, or the kind of electro clash was big in the early 2000s in San Francisco. So I was definitely influenced more with like going out dancing and stuff, and seeing people's there's different styles that they would wear to go out to dance, and I think that would inform my work maybe more than no offense, but like comedians don't have the greatest style, at least in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do.
Well, look, me and Arthur have the same glasses, so I
Right.
got something.
And you and I are both kind of wearing white shirts right now, so it's kind of like,
That's
okay.
true.
So you left. You don't have to say where you live now, but you left San Francisco when?
I left probably in 2012, I think.
Why did you leave?
I actually left. We bought a car. We put all our stuff in storage and bought a car, and just went on a road trip around America with some rats. We had 3 rats, and it was me and Ayana, and we just kind of drove up the coast, and then went to Yellowstone and all kinds of different places in between. We spent the summer in Ohio. My mom has a house on an island in Ohio called Kelly's Island, and we just kind of showed out there and took a break, and then drove back. And I actually moved to LA to kind of pursue showbiz. So I did a pilot for Adult Swim and did some stuff there.
What happened with that pilot?
It got made. It was produced by PFR, who do like Wonder Shows and Heart She Holler and Xavier Renegade Angel. And I'm proud of it. It took like 2 years to do or something, and then it just fizzled out.
Oh man!
But we made it. We made an 11-minute Adult Swim pilot, so that was fun.
Yeah. I don't want to open that can of worms, but yeah, I did one too. It's tough. It's tough business to like get a show fully into a season of shows. But
I got this show idea, and Matt actually designed some characters for it, and they look cool, and I want to get that going.
Cranberry Golf Boys.
You said it.
Matt,
Cranberry Golf
Matt,
Boys.
What is it? Cranberry Golf Boys?
Cranberry Golf Boys.
Oh, okay, right.
It's about these like prissy kind of guys who hang out at a golf resort, and they solve mysteries basically, and it's like Scooby-Doo basically, but it's with like kind of Frasier-esque kind of guys. Yeah.
Well, what's next for you?
Cranberry Golf Boys. That's
Have you given up on the showbiz dream?
Well, I'm featured in this hit documentary, Feels Good, Man. So, I'm still in showbiz, baby.
That's true. That's true. I screwed up that question. But you have a new book coming out. Let's talk about that.
The book is awesome.
Do you have a visual element to your show?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, but it's also on audio. But you could just say the name of it: Mind Viscosity.
Yeah, it's called Mind Viscosity, and it comes in a puffy book, so it's very tactile, very colorful. But it's basically the last 15 years of my kind of artistic output, you know. So there's no words. It's very low commitment. You can sit there and kind of page through it in about 10 minutes.
It's a visceral experience.
Yeah, and it spans a course of about 15 years, and it's just all
15 years, huh? Wow.
All my critters. Here's some This is a picture of some people doing yoga.
That's amazing. I love it.
This one here is called primary. What was it called? Primary care.
Wait, so can I interpret it? Can I interpret that art piece? Okay, so for the audio only, there's 3 bodies doing it looks like a forward, a warrior 1, and out of their bodies are these dark Chewbacca looking people.
Well, they're all, by the way, the primary color is red, yellow, and blue.
Right. So are the people doing the poses acting like they're enjoying themselves, but inside is the brown people that's coming out? Or is that what's leaving their body when they're doing yoga?
Yeah, it's definitely
you want to leave it as a mystery, you know.
Yeah, well, my intention with it was that they were kind of exercising demons, or getting the sludge out by doing these yoga poses.
And how do you want your art? How do you want? Do you think about like the purpose of your art at all? Like, do you want people to feel good, man, or do you want? I mean, that's dumb, but you know what I'm saying. Like, do you want people to be happy, or what? Do you have any goals like that when you're making your artwork?
Yeah, for this one was for a particular show that I did with Ayana and my daughter Ursula, and it was called Rainbow Life. So I was kind of doing some intentional critters just to do, just kind of do happy kind of, yoga poses type stuff. So yeah, in some cases I want people to be happy, but I've got some like kind of darker stuff in here too. I can have you describe maybe, like this one's kind of a weird one here.
Okay, it's a muscle-bound man with a chicken head, a rooster head, and there is a suction device on his penis, and it's being operated by a Terminator-looking robot man who has a kind of an evil grin on his face.
The rooster is very buff, and I would say that this probably piece would do very well in the bodybuilding forums.
And he's shackled to a wall in sort of a dungeon.
He's getting pumped.
I mean, that is still kind of like fun and lighthearted, though.
Actually, this is a good lead into maybe a story that Arthur could give us about his upbringing and an experience that he had maybe on the farm. Do you know what I'm talking about, Arthur?
Please, we need it. We need it.
Oh, I mean, I've got a number of stories about cattle castration, if that's what you guys are into, growing up on the farm. But,
I don't need a ton. I don't need a ton of those, but
didn't you experience some kind of insemination?
There's a
Arthur,
couple
where are you
of those.
from?
I'm from
Arthur
Missouri.
got inseminated?
Okay.
I'm from Missouri. It was when I moved to Los Angeles, I did a cross-country road trip with my girlfriend at the time, Agnes, and we stopped by my parents in Missouri, and my dad was running a bunch of cattle at the time. He had about maybe 100 head of cattle, and his whole thing was he would sell bulls. And so he wanted to show off to my girlfriend because it was the first time he was meeting her. And so he decided to take her out to the barn, and they were about to sell this bull for auction. And you have to give basically the semen a test to make sure that it doesn't have a venereal disease. So my dad put the bull into a chute, which basically is like you squeeze the bull so that its head is caught in a vise. And then he put a big metal butt plug up the bull's butt, which is like a big vibrating butt plug that looks like a little jackhammer. And then he had like someone lean on that. And then he had a soup ladle. And then the bull like got aroused and then ejaculated into the soup ladle. And then they took the semen from the soup ladle, put it onto a microscope slide and looked at it, and they could tell if the semen had a venereal disease or not. And so while that was happening, the bull was like swinging its tail around and shooting like shit everywhere. So we were like in the barn, like getting like pelted with shit as my dad just cackled.
So was your girlfriend impressed by that, or was
she was actually that was probably the most like natural moment of the entire visit. Like it was like definitely the funniest moment. It was pretty weird.
The bull got aroused by something vibrating in its butt?
Correct.
His butt?
Yes. I've heard about this. You kind of have to like rape the cow. You have to like rape a bull to get it to.
That's interesting.
I mean, this seems like it's probably like it seems like this is probably an After Dark segment. But yeah, there's a whole world of frozen bull sperm that we can talk about. My dad will buy sperm from the 1970s to use on his current bulls. Yeah, there was this
I'm sorry,
there was a bull called Power Play. He was like the Ron Jeremy of the bull world.
What?
And I don't know how many like I mean, there's probably like thousands and thousands of liters of this bull's semen, but people still love that semen, and they'll inseminate their herd with it. Yeah, that was my dad's whole thing.
Semen from
70s?
Semen.
Yeah, from the 70s.
And it still works?
Yes, it does still work.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the bull breeding is like, yeah, it's a whole very specific world that we would next to our like toilet growing up, there would be all these magazines that my dad would read on the toilet of just like all the different like bull semen that you could buy. Or you could buy like a bull and then the bull would be shipped to you in Missouri. But I can't tell if this is interesting or not.
Well, no, it is very interesting. I just would say that, so can humans, can they freeze their semen for just a really long time?
Sure.
And so that's interesting. Think about that. Your dad could be Genghis Khan or whatever, you know what I mean? You know, conceivably. Well, I don't know if they have the technology to really freeze stuff from that far back, but I mean, okay, basically any one of us could have a kid a couple hundred years from now. Think about that.
Correct.
I mean, after we're long gone.
Well, I have a freezer full of this stuff. I've been doing this. Just kind of like, as a hobby.
It's all organized all neatly and stuff in the freezer. Like it's all.
Yeah, the future is going to be all loosen hops. After the world dies out, there's no more humans. All we're going to have is that refrigerator full of Doug's semen.
Yeah, I don't want kids now, but I'll have some in a few hundred years that people should raise, you know.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
I actually heard Vincent Gallo was selling his semen on eBay or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It was like $1 million or something.
That's too much money.
Hey, Brent.
It's Vincent Gallo, though.
For a gallon of his semen?
for a Vincent Gallon of his semen. You know what's cool about the book? Well, I think that's what's cool. Not just the book. I mean, about your work is in general. Well, not in general, but I mean specifically about the first section of the book. A lot of your pieces are all these characters kind of standing side by side. They almost look like school photos or something, or you know, that's what they kind of remind me of. Is like school photos, and you could just look at them for so long because each character has a different look, and you know, I don't know. You just going through each person it takes, you know, you could just spend a long time on it. So it just each piece has a lot to offer. It's just you could just really get lost in it for a long time, just looking at each character, and then also kind of trying to think about you know, what they're inspired from too, you know, as well. Like that's another added layer to it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
Cool.
like it's really, thank you. It's like focused doodling, you know. So it's my laziest way to work, where I just start at the bottom corner of a page and I'll just sit there with a pen and draw a creature, and then I'll color it in, and then I'll do the next one. So I just give each critter a lot of attention until it ends up just filling up the whole page.
Can we get a little a close up of a page of the one of those, like kind of like the cover style of?
Yeah. So
Look
here's
how long you could look at this for. You know what I
I
mean?
know. And you have I've seen the t-shirts, which I want, they're like printed all over with like the creatures.
Yeah.
It's cool. They're all, yeah, it's this neat, you know. Oh, this one's like more animal based, right? No, maybe not actually. Yeah.
Hey, look, there's a regular dog amongst the creatures.
Yeah.
Oh, where's that?
Upper
yeah.
right.
Oh no, that's
Yeah, there's just a regular old dog right
It's
there.
like Pluto. There's like
guess-
Goofies and Plutos in there.
yeah. And then there's a broccoli head in there too. That's cool. It's just some broccoli head, a vegetable head.
When you go to make a piece of art like that, do you just start going and it just whatever comes out happens, or do you think about it beforehand?
It's a little bit of both. I have an idea, like I'll do a bird, and then I'll just draw the bird, and I'll be like, oh, what would look good next to a bird? Broccoli guy or something, you know. So it's just kind of stream of consciousness kind of, but then I'll spend a long time kind of meticulously etching into it and coloring it in, and it's just a fun way to draw, and you know that also. So then I got like the circular ones too, where I was doing that so much that I wanted to make it into a circle too. So this is kind of the same idea, except it's kind of spinning around instead of.
Right, it's kind of like a kaleidoscope.
When you draw the circle
Yeah,
one, are you
that's
spinning
awesome.
the page so the heads are always like right side up?
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be kind of crazy though if you were just not spinning the page. You know what I mean? You're just spinning your arm.
I know.
Is your daughter like, I got the coolest dad ever. He like draws these broccoli heads and he's like does these funny cartoons all day. I got the ultimate dad.
Ayana does cool art too.
I got the most awesome parents of all time. Does she even know?
Yeah, I think she just takes it all for granted. Yeah, it's just normal.
I mean, she basically has a really cool influence here, you know? Like she's probably going to be drawing cool creatures and stuff and other things.
This is one of her pieces here.
Yeah, let's see.
I think that's her and Ayana with our cat O'Malley in between them, who's named after O'Malley the alley cat from Disney's.
That looks like when an adult tries to like mimic what a child would draw. You know what I mean? It's like too perfect.
I know she's good. She's 5 and she's already well on her way.
Good.
I thought you were naming your cat after Mike O'Malley, the host of Nickelodeon's Guts.
Oh, no.
I have a couple questions going back to the doc, actually, if that's okay. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
Unless, Doug, you want to stay on this tip.
Yeah, why don't we do another like 5 minutes ish, and then we'll do like we'll hang out more. If you guys are willing, you don't have to at all. You know, we just do a little bonus episode, half hour or so with.
I'm enjoying this. Yeah, I'm happy to, as long as you guys want. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get into
Keep
some
it
games
rolling.
or something, you know?
We do some games if you want.
Do some games in a little bit. You know?
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, but Brent, you do your question. I'll be right back in. 2
Okay.
and 2, just like Chuck Woolery.
I didn't understand. One thing I kind of didn't quite like understand in the doc, and I don't want to. I don't know if you want me to not. If this is like a.
I don't care. Let's just
spoil or something, but
yeah.
What this Pepe cache thing and like these rare Pepes. What is that? So okay, I'll just explain it for how I saw it. Was that apparently people can sell and buy these Pepe, these bootleg. I don't know, these bootleg sort of memes of Pepe or something like that, and I just don't. How does that exist? I don't understand how that works. Like, how do you? They're sold for a lot of money, I guess.
Some of them are.
What is? How does it?
I'm not going to break down that scene because that scene is pretty fun and weird in the movie. But I will get into like the broad strokes of what Pepe Cash is. So there is a cryptocurrency based on Pepe the Frog, and that cryptocurrency is like Bitcoin, and it's called Pepe Cash, and you can use Pepe Cash to buy memes. And these memes are released by this group of guys, mostly guys, I'm assuming, who make these memes that all kind of look like Pokemon trading cards. And then they sell them the same way that you would like buy shares or something in stock. And it's just like, it started out as a joke. There was always this joke about one of the reasons so many people would take the Pepe memes and remix them is because there was this joke about rare Pepes. It was this joke about how this meme was actually something that was quite rare and quite valuable. And that was just always kind of just like a joke people would make. Like, this JPEG is very rare. Don't share it. It's mine. And they would call it the rare Pepe economy. And that was just like a joke. And then these guys who were super into Bitcoin were like, well, we're going to take this rare Pepe economy and turn it into an actual economy. So there was kind of this like brief moment where Bitcoin was spiking, where people were actually investing real money in, these JPEGs of Pepe. So in the film, there's a guy who spends more money on a JPEG than probably Matt has made off of the Boys Club comics ever.
I'm sorry, but how do you make a single copy of a digital item? I mean, how do you put a limit, how does it become worth something when it could be easily copied?
It's a very elaborate art joke. It's like, it's really something that like, there are like, you can take that JPEG that someone bought and copy and paste it and trade it as much as you want. But the sort of joke is like, well, what is value? Like, what is the money that we have, the paper in our wallet? Like, it's not the gold standard anymore. So really, a lot of the guys that are into Bitcoin are really just kind of into Bitcoin as like a trolling currency. Like, they're trolling the markets with this thing that is kind of like valueless. There's no like work that goes into Bitcoin, So, the group of guys that are super into Pepe Cash have like a trading floor, and it's like an open audio channel that they all talk on. And it's just a way for guys to like hang out. It's a very, very, very elaborate in-joke. And some of the guys kind of view it as an art project. Like, they're making these random Pepe memes and then they'll release them with like, this is one of one, this is one of 50, it's extra rare. Most of them don't sell for very much money, but in the film we talk about some guys that sold them for kind of a surprising amount of money. It is confusing, and there's part of it that like, I mean, it's like any discussion of Bitcoin is totally baffling, because you end up getting into the blockchain, you end up having to talk about all the sort of like very particular ways that people trade Bitcoin. And so Pepe is even like harder to explain than that. Pepe Cash is even harder to explain than that.
And
real quick, Matt, can you move up a little bit so you line up so you're like Brent's head is on your shirt?
And that looks like an Iona piece right there.
It is. This is an Iona piece. See if you can interpret it. Can you guys tell us what's going on?
Oh, there it is. To me, it looks like you're below Brent on my screen, so it looks like you're.
Matt's below you, Doug, on my screen.
Oh, it's like your Brent's very buff.
Oh, that's so funny. Here, look.
Oh, I see. So if I do this.
No. Okay. Here, I was gonna get lower, but here, why don't you get a little lower, real quick, and then I'll just go like this.
Yeah, there you go. Brent, come closer now.
Okay, okay, fine.
Almost lining up.
Definitely jokes only for the.
Yeah, this is really a video exclusive. Actually, Matt, why don't you actually go up a little bit now?
What is that shirt? I love it.
Well, Iona Udison did this shirt, and it's Eddie Vedder singing to some otters, some river otters. So the joke is he's singing "Don't Call Me Otter."
Don't call me Otter.
I lost my virginity to Pearl Jam. It was heavy.
Wait, real quick. I thought
was it even
an otter man? Can't find another man.
That's pretty good.
I don't remember the exact song on 10. Yeah.
Wait, so let's talk about that after dark. I think it's time to go after dark.
I also have one other question about the documentary. But
sure, let's do
I can save it for after dark. No big.
It's up to you guys.
Well, just ask it real quick, Brent, now that you mention it.
Well, I don't even know if this is something that you want to answer or what, but it's like, so you know how you
No, ask
kind
it.
of a
I
spoiler,
want you
so I'll
to
save
ask
it.
it. No, I want you to ask it. At this point,
Well,
everyone should
okay,
turn
you
off
know,
the
at one
podcast
point
You
and
want
rent
to
the
ask
film.
one, and then like,
Yeah, that's not the
then we
way it
say
works.
ask it, and then you say no, you don't want to ask it. You got to ask.
I'll be mysterious in my answer. I'll try to
well, no,
keep the spoilers to a
it's
minimum.
really, I think maybe, I guess a Matt question, but it's both of you. Everybody knows this is public. This isn't even in the documentary, but at one point Matt killed Pepe, or he had Pepe die, right?
It is in the
And,
documentary.
It's in the documentary, but it was in, I knew about that before
Yeah,
watching
it was
the
on
documentary
NPR. It was on CNN.
Yeah,
it was in
all over
all
the
these
place.
places. Yeah.
It was
My
on
question
MTV.
so
it was on
Pepe didn't
VH1.
really die,
Kurt
though.
Loder. Yeah.
So Pepe didn't really die, I guess, right? He's alive.
I mean, Matt will have to answer that question.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like what I'm saying is it was it like
He's alive in your heart.
it was
dude.
kind of like the death of Superman, where it's like he comes back, kind of a thing.
Well, yeah. Coincidentally, what do you call it? Crowdfunded a zine with my brother, where we were resurrecting Pepe. So that here's the true spoiler: is that he didn't actually die. It was a fever dream because he was dehydrated at a rave, and then his buddies like dump water on him, and then he wakes up. Because I made the whole comic, and Lane Wolf kind of gives him the salute and pours whiskey on his face as he's laying there in the casket. And then what that actually was Lane Wolf pouring water on, or one of the guys pouring water on his face to wake him up and then get him back on the dance floor. So he's still alive.
I'm glad he's.
You heard it here.
You heard it here. This is a Poundcast exclusive. Pepe lives. He was just dehydrated. He was raving too hard.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys for being on the Poundcast. Feels Good Man is the movie that is out now. I give it probably 2 thumbs up and
Nice.
probably 100% on the tomato meter. I don't know who would.
There we go.
It's got to be 100% on the tomato meter, isn't it?
It's currently 94% on the tomato
I mean,
meter, but we
who's
got
doing a Rotten
certified.
Tomato? Probably some conservative writer doesn't want to hear it, and they're like, find something wrong with it. But it's a great movie. How do you see it?
You see it on Apple TV, Amazon. You can rent it from a lot of different, I don't know, all the places you rent films now. We're also trying to pair with as many independent theaters as possible. So theaters like the Roxy in San Francisco or the Gateway in Columbus. So you can go through their websites and maybe you'll pay $1 extra, but then the ticket price will be split with like that theater and the filmmakers rather than like, you know, Globocorp or whatever that Amazon or, you know, iTunes goes towards.
And those theaters are streaming them online, I guess.
Yeah. So it's like you go to their site and then you click on the link and then, you know, it may cost like $8 or something.
I like that though. I actually like that.
We did a whole thing. We did a weekend to like kick it off since we couldn't have like a real premiere where we built our own site through the help of this company Filmbot, who are great. And then we had like, you would buy like a ticket and you would have a certain show time. And then before the movie, we would show all the shorts by the crew from the film, like all the people who worked on the movie, all the animators and everything. And then we'd show the movie and then we'd have like a Q&A afterwards. And then the ticket price was split with independent theaters and bookstores. And you could also buy Matt's book. So we've been like taking a movie out in the pandemic on your own is like a whole crazy thing. And we've just tried to be as like flexible and, you know, we're just approaching it like an art project basically. So yeah, feel free. I mean, yeah, it would be great if you supported it because it does go straight to us, you know?
Yeah. And all those links are at feelsgoodmanfilm.com. You just click up above, say watch now.
We'll put the links too.
Yeah, that would be great.
And Matt, where can we get your book? Barnes and Noble?
With the maybe eventually it's available through Fantagraphics. So you could just order it on Fantagraphics and probably Amazon too. And just real quick, Ayana gave me some insight into Brent's heyday, and she was saying that you know she was a cocktail waitress at the Punchline back in the day, and that the girls were very intrigued by Brent.
That sounds like After Dark stuff right here.
Oh yeah, let's turn out the lights.
So maybe we can talk about that later. But
boy.
So I have a little bit of insight into that.
Ooh,
so.
yes,
little intrigue.
Okay, interesting.
So I just thought I'd mention that to your subscribers.
It's a little cliffhanger.
Brent is a mystery man, even to me, and I am intrigued by him.
He's got the mystery thing going. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. For those of you who want to keep listening to our conversation, go to patreon.com/poundcast and support us. Throw us a couple bucks per month. See you next week on
The Poundcast.
Pound. 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 Cast. Pound. 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 Cast. Pound. 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 Cast. Pound. Cast. Pound to the cast. Pound. 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 Cast. Pound. 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 Cast. Pound. 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 Cast. Pound to the cast. Pound to the. Welcome to the Pound Cast. Pound. 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 Cast. Pound. 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 Cast. Pound. 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 Pound.